Hello, and welcome to another episode of Myths and Stories, a Destiny 2 lore podcast. We are continuing our uh, re not retellings, but getting back into the Ahamkara. Last time we went over the Dragon Slayers lore book with Saladin telling of more stories of the Great Hunt that happened pre D1. We do have part one and part two of our Ahamkara series from I think a year ago or so that
It was
are
a hot
out
second.
there. Yeah, so previous episodes there where we talked more about kind of what are they, where might they have come from, their whole anthem, anatheme, and feeding and all that fun stuff. So you can check those out for some more in-depth info about what Ahamkara are and how they function. But today we are going to be going to the lore book Gifts and Bargains, which is one that came out with Season of the Wish. Um, and it is narratives tied to a Ahamkara by the name of uh, Taranis, which those that have played through Season of the Wish will know is the mate to Riven.
Yeah. Well, and this is like this season kind of like opened our eyes to a lot more of what was really going on in the Dreaming City
Mm-hmm.
with Ahamkara, because we touched on this in both our Awoken series and the Ahamkara series, of that they very much lived alongside the people of the Dreaming City.
Yeah.
Uh, Obviously, Riven helped build it. That's how the Dreaming City exists now. Um, but then, of course, when the Great Hunt started, there were even feasters, because we always look at Riven as like a non, I don't want to say a non feasting Ahamkara, but she spent so much time with Mara because she couldn't feast off of Mara, and so it was very much this enamorment with Riven, between Riven and Mara. But there's also, God, I can never remember the name of the one that ferried them off the edge of the cliff
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Very
walked.
Pied Piper. Yeah.
Yeah, like Pied
Uh
Piper, Siren of the Sea, like walked them to their death type thing. Yeah, so they there weren't exactly good Ahamkaras, but yeah,
no.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
and I don't know that any Ahamkara can necessarily be considered good or evil per se. I think
Oh,
it's
sure.
more just they're very much creatures of whim. They do what benefits them in a given moment. Um
Chaotic neutral.
and yeah, honestly, yes. Okay, people may die, or it might make some people's lives better, but that's not their end goal. The end
Yeah,
goal is sustenance, is
yeah.
feed me. Um, so
If
yeah.
I can do things with an alignment chart, that's where I'm chaotic neutral. I can understand that.
Yeah. Now, Taranis, we will find, is a very different Ahamkara in that way. Um, he is a very is a much more generous Ahamkara, I guess maybe is the right term. But we'll see that as we get through. So the first chapter that we're going to go over here in Gifts and Bargains is simply titled "The First Gift," and it starts like all of these do with a little excerpt, a little quote from Taranis. Uh, and each of these seems to imply that Taranis is leaving behind these stories and these little quotes as a way to pass along knowledge of him and Riven to their future children, to the eggs that we save in Season of the Wish. The first gift, the little excerpt says, "Oh, listeners, open your ears. There are choices ahead that you must make for yourself. I will not act for you. I can only help by giving what I have left, my voice. And then the actual chapter continues and says this. Taranis hatches, bathed in the light of the heliopause. The solar wind dries his damp wings, and the depth of space gives him room to grow. There is no hint of the Ahamkara who crafted his egg, nor of how many of them there were. No dams or sires wait for him. Taranis's first meal is the shell that nurtured him through his incubation. It snaps between his teeth, a first taste of life. Taranis grows his first sensory organs. He uses them to look for more life. The universe contracts and expands with the force of will, the tension between what exists and what is wanted. Taranis learns to scent his way across these lines of tension, to navigate around other Ahamkara with no benign wishes for a little whim like Taranis. In Ahamkara's life and power are bound in their voice. Taranis sneaks silently in to listen to his elders at their feeding, the twists of their tongue, their multiplicity of meanings. He tracks other Ahamkara by the strength of their power, watches them hunt, slips past them to their catch. Their meals are bitter. Taranis cannot swallow his stolen bites. Taranis learns he is plain-spoken for an Ahamkara. What pleases his tongue is not what pleases others. The first wish Taranis grants is to a Cabal soldier patrolling her firebase in honor of Empire and Emperor. Hot sands blow in Mars's winds, whipping against her pressure suit, scratching the enamel on her greaves. She wishes for respite, to put down her equipment for a single day, to rest without being derelict in her duty. With a wish that broad, an Ahamkara could eat her whole. Instead, Taranis nudges weather patterns. It's easy to whip up a wind higher, let it pick up more sand, till the growing sandstorm triggers the firebase's hazard alarms. The Cabal soldier hurries back to her firebase, hunched against the increasing wind. Her squadron leader is unprepared and has no plans drawn up for indoor duties. It is a failure he will answer for. But until he rectifies his failure, the soldier may go to her bunk and read a borrowed novel without compromising her duty. Her satisfaction grows rich, and hidden in the piping above her bunk, Taranis basks in it. His belly isn't full, but the sip she's given him is sweet. Nothing bitter in it, nothing sour. Light on his tongue the way no other food has ever been. It is a good end to his first hunt, a meal from his first partner. Taranis grows more slowly than his age mates. The sustenance he finds does not fill his belly like their hunts fill them. They grow in strength, tongues long, teeth fierce. They lose patience for a runt with overly delicate sensibilities. Taranis finds himself in need of a retreat. Taranis doggedly follows a faint trail, a hint of secrets in the air, all the way to a pinch in space. He makes his own door and enters. And it is a place of life, lush with crimson flowers and trees speckled with water, trunks dripping sap. It is a place of potential, of possibility, a nursery for life itself, a garden, a grove, a fine place for a nest, a fine place for Taranis to teach himself who he is. And we're going to pause there before continuing this reading
So excited.
to talk about a
These are
couple
long
things.
ones.
Yeah. And there's definitely some stuff we can touch on here just in this first half of it.
Absolutely. Well, the first obvious one is the what would you call it? The appetite
Yeah.
that this particular Ahamkara has. Of course, Taranis is the we know him in game as the one that gives us the bow, and we're like, yeah, you loot. But he like any other Ahamkara had a birth. He was in an egg on the edge of space, and is grown from that. Finds this Cabal soldier, and again, he so in typical Wish Dragon nonsense, he doesn't quite. I can't say he doesn't quite grant the Cabal's wish, because again, it says it right there, with a wish that broad, Ahamkara could do whatever the hell they wanted with that. Like,
Right.
that's like just to be like, hey, I need a break, but I want to break without being derelict. So yeah, so instead of being like, okay, well, poof, now you're in your bunk or whatever, he does a little bit more to it. He whips up the winds, get the sandstorm going, pushes them inside, and now they're like, ah, shit, we were, the wind, the weather wasn't supposed to be like this. We didn't have any duties prepared for indoors. Like, I'm gonna get my ass beat now because that's the Cabal way. All right, well, I guess go ahead to your bunks, and she goes to her bunk and reads a book. Which of course that difference in like what is would have been, this Cabal soldier would have been outside in the hot sun and sand all day patrolling, and that what was wanted, to have respite. That difference has now happened. Taranis can feed on it. So yeah, like I like that. I like that. It's two things here. One, I like that it's that simple to kind of like understand it. Like, okay, there it is. But I also like that Taranis also calls out that like different ways of doing this appeases different appetites. I think of it as like one person likes spicy food, another person likes sweet food, another person likes steaks, another person likes chicken, and for this particular Ahamkara, his flavor of choice is like, I guess, doing something nice.
Kinda.
For
Yeah.
for another entity, for their feastee.
Yeah, there's a few differences with Taranis's wish fulfillment that I think are very unique to them. That being that I, for the most part, it's a non-harmful granting of this wish. Like, there is the Cabal commander that's probably gonna get chewed out or whatever, but like no one's dying because
We
of
hope.
this. I mean, I guess
the Cabal
sure.
Empire.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know.
This is true. This is true. But like the wish wasn't granted with that intent,
Sure.
And the wish was granted. Like it wasn't a interpretation of granting the wish that makes this Cabal wish for more. Like he
Oh
gave them the
yeah.
result they wanted.
The Cabal got exactly
And
what she wanted without having any type of like.
yeah,
The Cabal didn't know that this was going to happen, obviously, but like the Cabal got what they wanted, and then that was it. Like, that was to him.
yeah.
That's like that's it.
And it's interesting because it says like he had tried to kind of like steal energy off other Ahamkara's deals, and had found presumably traditional Ahamkara deals that are kind of a double-edged sword,
Yeah.
found them to be, he describes them as very bitter, like to the point where he can't even swallow it. Like he can't feed off that. Um, and it makes, but clearly those are much more powerful as far as the amount of energy they get.
Right.
Because he talks about like this doesn't fill his belly, but it's enough to get him by. And his uh the other Ahamkara in his age range grow much faster than him, much stronger than him, and leave him behind. Essentially, they don't have a want or a need to stick around the runt of the litter that is handicapping themselves in their
Sure.
viewpoint.
Sure.
Um, but going back a little further, even to the very beginning, where it talks about he hatches bathed in the light of the heliopause, which makes me think like this egg is just floating in space?
Oh
Question
yeah.
mark.
That's
Uh,
I mean anyone that doesn't know, the heliopause is literally the edge of space that we stop defining as the soul system and we start defining as the rest of the universe.
yeah.
So space is a lot of nothing.
So that's kind of interesting that he's just floating around out there till he hatches. Um, the other interesting thing is that it says there's no hint of the Ahamkara who crafted his egg, nor how many of them there were. No dams or sires waiting for him. Couple interesting things about that line. Uh, the first being they don't describe this as like him being born or this egg being laid, or any like it was an egg that was crafted, which almost makes it sound like Ahamkara don't reproduce in a biological way. They reproduce by like using their own powers to create something into reality.
I
I
feel like that's a paradox for an Ahamkara.
I
But
mean, maybe so.
I don't know. Maybe like the death of one is what creates another type thing.
Well, and maybe that's the trick of it. If you have two that are dedicating power to it, then neither of them perish in the attempt.
Maybe.
Because like it's half from one, half from the other, but it's not taking all of the energy from one kind of thing. I don't know. We don't have an explanation for how all that works, but it's very pointedly described as crafting the egg, which is
You mean you
just an
didn't take that
interesting
course in
turn of
college?
phrase.
You didn't
Yeah, no,
take
they didn't.
Ahamkara Biologics 101?
No, they didn't have wish dragons in biology. Uh, but the other bits here are that we don't know how many, if there were any brothers or sisters to Taranis, because we know from Season of the Wish the clutches of eggs can be numerous, can be half a
Sure.
dozen at least. Um, and in this case, it's just a lone egg floating out in space. So who knows what
Don't know if it was
happened?
abandoned. Don't know
Right.
if it was just the lone survivor of an attack, or like what the circumstances of this egg being by itself out in the depths of space.
Yeah. And the other thing is that it points out again, like, so no hint of the Ahamkara who crafted it, no dams or sires wait for him, which the fact that they kind of point out the fact that he hatches and has nobody kind of makes me think that perhaps that's unusual. Like maybe Ahamkara do normally take care of their young up to a certain age or something.
Sure.
Uh, Again, we don't necessarily have any real concrete info on that, but it seems by mentioning the omission, they're making it seem like that is an unusual thing. The other bit, which is just kind of wild, is after being born and eating the eggshell, he literally begins to grow sensory organs, eyes and nose and ears and whatever Ahamkara used to sense the world around them, which is just kind of wild.
To think that like he's not even like a fully formed being when he comes out of his egg, and
Right.
then he comes out of the egg and then starts growing a nose and then grows an ear. That's got to be like an awkward time, right? Like I feel like that's what like Ahamkara middle school would be about. Is like they got all the Ahamkara kids together and they're like, haha, look at Johnny. He's only grown one ear today. Ha ha. Poor Johnny's just like, I can only hear half of what you're saying. This is bullshit.
uh yeah, it is an interesting idea. Like, we know Ahamkara are described as shapeshifters. So I guess it makes sense. They would need to learn how to shift their shape, and I guess they learn from birth. It's like you're going
Yeah.
to literally make eyes or you cannot see.
I mean, that's
Which,
survival in
yeah,
its finest moment right there. Like, yeah,
but yeah. So just some really interesting things about Taranis here, and then eventually grows weary of the other Ahamkara and just dealing with everything around him. He needs a rest somewhere, and he finds a trail, a hint of secrets, um, and he follows it all the way to a pinch in space, which he makes his own door and finds himself in what I can only assume is the Black Garden.
it's got to be. No other place would be a place described as like a place that exists in a pinch of space, and that he has to make his own door to get into, and that
Right.
it's full of life with crimson flowers and trees and like yeah. And even further on, where he describes it as a place of potential, of possibility, a nursery for life itself, and then he describes it a garden, a grove. Like it, everything about this is the Black Garden to me. Which,
Yeah.
and again, we also know that from the quest for the bow,
Hmm.
because we enter that space. Like that's where his lair is.
Yep. Absolutely. And so he makes a nest for himself there, and kind of is like, all right, I have time to figure out who I am, essentially. Uh,
So by this point, this is like his summer off from college, and he's like rediscovering himself.
yeah, yeah,
I'm following this Ahamkara like growth cycle here now. It's like we've gone to middle school, we've gone to college. Like it's yeah.
yeah, this is like, I graduated. I don't have a job yet. I'm gonna do 6 month overseas in the Netherlands or whatever, and just experience things and find myself. Uh,
I can't, I can't.
it's too
Oh,
accurate. It's too
it's
accurate.
too accurate.
Oh.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Comes back with like dreads and a bunch of cut off shorts.
He wouldn't even have. I would be. I was gonna be like, when he come back and his parents are like, Taranis, you can't wear your hair like that. But I instantly got sad and was like, oh, he has no parents. Shit. Like I can't use that analogy. That's too dark. I can't do it.
Oh, but regardless, his time abroad, Taranis does kind of come to some conclusions. And so the chapter continues and says, there is something lacking from his nest. The grove sustains him when the sips of his partner's dreams aren't enough. His belly is never empty enough to ache, cradled in his garden. But Taranis tastes an itch in his heart and knows it is not enough. He leaves his nest to hunt for it. Taranis drifts through Venus's atmosphere on albatross wings. The Vex are a dull prickle, a flat, endless weight. Taranis will make no bargains with them. A Drek on patrol in water up to their knees wishes for growth. Stumps itching under docking caps. They picture themselves with 100 arms, 1,000 eyes, a spine like a tree, tall enough to lift themselves out of the water, to take their house by skiff and ketch back to their first home, a hero crowned in honor like Chelchis. Taranis circles far overhead, riding on the thermal of their desire, till a brighter spark on the horizon pulls his attention away. He follows the spark and finds light bearers. He has seen their kind before. Earth's light bearers get into every corner of Sol. They poke around for mysteries to solve. They pick fights with scions. They peel Vex structures for prizes to wear on their belts. A light bearer makes a strong partner with a firm will and steady belief in their own importance. A light bearer creates ripples through the world with the weight of their concentrated potential. A dozen walk alone or in small groups on Venus now, unbothered by decay and the threat of death around every corner. 11 light bearers dig through archives, battle Vex, and skim lightly over deep water, their desires shifting with circumstance. The 12th light bearer sits unmoving under the spilling branches of a willow. His desires are faint, despite the firmness of his will. His presence is a cool taste in the back of Taranis' throat, pale as the light from the light-bearer's lantern. Taranis slips through the water to watch him from a distance. Nothing but eyes and nostrils peeking out above the surface. The sun sets, and still the light-bearer sits. Venus turns, and the light-bearer sits. Only the smallest threads of desire reach Taranis. This light-bearer alone wishes for nothing, and Taranis sinks back into the water without a ripple. Taranis drifts towards something new, a gateway tucked carefully into an asteroid belt. He feels through rock and debris to a city, opalescent with dreams. He can feel the marks of its makers on it, a powerful Ahamkara with a powerful partner. The city is filled with souls who know Ahamkara. All those minds, those wills, potential partners holding fragments of grit for Taranis to envelop in pearls, something he could build to match this masterpiece of a city. Mist curls in fractals around Taranis, leaving a faint, bitter taste on his tongue. There is danger baked into this pocket world, a risk its citizens are only half aware of. The source of that danger is the source of the city and all its beauty. And Taranis can't help but track towards it, a distant chiming, a laugh in the underpainting of the city. Taranis slithers towards what he will later learn is the spine of Karis, and a massive claw pins him to the ground. What do you think you're doing in my territory? Multiple voices inquire. The laugh emerges into the foreground. Leathery frills frame a massive head. An uncertain number of eyes glow bright with curiosity and malice. This Ahamkara has gravity like a black hole, and Taranis feels her grip on the warp and weft of desire encircling them, and knows he can do nothing to stop himself from being drawn in. And that's the end of chapter number 1.
Oh my. Whew. I can't tell if I'm scared or if that's hot.
Neither can Taranis.
That's what I'm saying. Like maybe his time in the Netherlands wasn't enough. Maybe he discovered more things than he wanted to discover. I don't know. I'm not an Ahamkara master. So okay, so obviously, he the Vex are kind of the worst thing to an Ahamkara, I feel like.
Right. Yeah.
The Vex don't have any desires. They're just programmed. They're just algorithms. They're just a entity that says, how do I keep existing? Solve problem, exist. Like that's it. That's the entirety of their thought process. Obviously there's like, we talked about this in our Vex series where like there's subroutines and there's subminds that, this one controls this space and this one controls this space, and they have all the rules and stuff within those spaces. But the Vex as a whole, they don't have any will. I don't feel like I can't say they don't have will, but like they don't have that strong desire for anything. They just exist. They're just
right.
Again, they're just algorithms that do. So for Taranis to kind of like, again, he says his belly's never empty enough to ache, but it's not full. Like, so clearly he's got to go looking around for stuff. And of course he finds this one little dreg. Wants to honor Chalchis, which if I'm pretty sure I'm right on this one, was the last member of the House of Stone that fell at Reese and was devoured by the Taken King, and he turned him into the Doom of Chalchis.
Yep.
Yay, I remembered.
This is correct.
I feel really proud of myself for that one. Of course, then he finds these light bearers. Like, he keeps going and finds these light bearers, and light bearers have a will. Like we talked about this in our light and dark stuff. When a guardian is risen, or when I guess a light bearer is risen, there are certain things that come with them, and a lot of it is like their deepest will, their strongest. I don't want to say desire, because again that I feel like that feeds too easily off of, or that would be a too easy a feed up for the.
It's like their strongest characteristic.
Yeah. Like again, my main one that I point to is like the Drifter. When he gets rezzed, his ghost is like, "Hey, we need to go to the last city," and he takes one look at it and he's like, "Nope. If that's where everyone's headed, I'm headed the opposite direction." And that is like his driving force through his entire lifetime as a light bearer. Is like wherever everyone else is gathering, I'm going the opposite direction than that. And that's been true for him the whole time that he's been a light bearer. Which again, it's kept him alive, so I can't really fault him for that. But yeah, so like to see light bearers is like, all right, now it's feeding time. So now I got this group of 12, right? They're light bearers are doing what light bearers do best, looking for mysteries to follow, looking for hints of the past. Like it's funny how much we go rummaging through old shit, but we're like forbidden to like look or touch or
right
or mess with any of this shit. We're like, Golden Age tech, that'll make a nice gun. All right, that can stay. Golden Age tech, this is how we extend life. Nope, forbidden. Get it out of here. Like that's what I feel like the fights are going on in the background of this, of like, hey, I discovered what my name was. You can't know that. And then that's what gets deleted from the report. But then they find like, hey, these two cells, if we combine these with that power source over there, I can turn this into a wicked gun. And they're like, sweet, do it. Light it up, start soldering. Let's go.
That's great. Censor all of the staff directories we find.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. That's how the Guardians report go as they go up the chain to Zavala. By the time we get to Zavala, it's just all blacked out. It's like the only thing you see is like power cell, coil of wire, solder, new gun, and then that's it. Like it's 4 pages, and those are the only words that he sees through the whole thing. But there's this one off to the side, and I'm trying to. I'm trying to understand what's happening here with this light bearer. Is it just saying this light bearer is just sitting there for like days on end?
Yeah, he's just sitting there
and has
presumably
no
meditating with 0 wishes.
It's got to be a warlock, right?
Well, we know exactly who this is. This is the warlock, yes, that we talked about last episode. This is Albius. This is his run-in
Oh,
with Taranis. Uh, Although he didn't even know Taranis was there from the
right.
sounds of things, but like, yeah, Taranis found this light bearer Albius that wanted for nothing.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy to think of a light bearer that wants nothing. Well, I say that I can kind of understand that. Like if you have every gun in existence and you have every piece of armor in existence, you've done every raid a billion times. Like maybe you want for nothing. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe you play a different game for a little bit.
maybe you take a break and play some Pong or something. I don't know. Maybe go for beer runs. I don't know. Maybe hang out with your friends on Venus. Apparently that's not good enough. So maybe
Yeah.
do something else. Uh,
Uh,
shit. these are too on point, Myth. We gotta create a little bit of mystery here. We can't be too on point with these.
uh,
But yeah, so from there, he finds his way to the asteroid belt, and obviously, the one thing that's been hidden in the asteroid belt is the Dreaming City, and of course he finds it, and it's something totally different than he's seen before anywhere. It's filled with people who know what an Ahamkara is, who like interact with Ahamkara on a daily basis. The whole city just like reeks with the stench of Ahamkara, of like not in like a bad way, not like oh my god, smelly Dave didn't take a shower this week, but like the smell of magic, the smell of wish magic is throughout the very fiber of this city because that's what built it. And so he goes poking around in there and finds another Ahamkara, presumably Riven.
yeah.
That's I
Yep.
mean the only one when it says multiple voices in choir, like Riven of 1,000 voices. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of that's where I come to there. An uncertain number of eyes. Was it L2? Was it R1? I don't know. I didn't have
Yeah.
chat up at the time, so I don't know. So yeah, like, and again, knowing what we know from the bow quest, I can't. What's the name of the bow myth?
Wish Keeper.
Wish Keeper. That's right. I keep wanting to call it like Snarl Maker, and I'm like, no, you dumbass. That's not. You're just making shit up now. I remember it makes snares. It makes the strand snares when you hip fire it after it has enough charges. So that's where my brain was doing with it. But Wish Keeper is the name of the bow and the name of the
Yep.
that whole quest that you go for. But we know from that and some of the scenes there that these two are lovers.
Yes. Yeah.
So we now know how they
Though
meet.
not. Yeah, they're not yet at this point, but we know that the eggs we are saving, the clutch of Riven's eggs that we are saving, Taranis is the mate of that partnership. Which, small tangent, it annoys the ever loving heck out of me that maybe it was intentional, maybe they're like Ahamkara do things weird, but they constantly refer to Riven as the sire and Taranis as the dam, and that is 100% flip flopped. If Riven is supposed to be the female and Taranis is supposed to be male, like it's just they mixed up their titles,
For those of you out
which
here who have no idea what we're talking about, in the world of horses, there
I think
are.
animals in general, but
I think
yeah.
you're right. I think it is just across, but from what I remember in my lonely little days and growing up in the back country of Texas, they it was primarily referred to when we talked about horses, and dams are and I'm going to get it backwards now too. Dams are the males, correct?
Nope.
See, I knew I was going to get back. See,
Sire is the
sire
male.
is the male, and dam is the female. But
Yeah.
in game, they keep flopping it, which is probably what's flopped it in my brain anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was hoping there'd be
Uh,
like an analogy with it, like, well, dam has 3 letters and sire has 4 letters, so that would like which name has 4? Like him has 3 letters and she has 3 letters. Oh nope, that just broke the whole idea and thought process.
I mean, I guess if you need something to remember it by, like, you can just think of, medieval era. How do they refer to the king as, sire or my sire or,
Oh shit! I bet that's where it comes
uh,
from.
yeah.
That
But
makes that helps
regardless.
so that you have no idea how much that just like cleared up my entire high school life.
Okay. uh, but, uh, but yes. So Taranis comes to the Dreaming
Sorry.
City, meets Riven. Uh, the other bit that is very much a tangent, but I can't get it out of my head, is every time they talk about like it's not enough to fill him. He can't eat enough to get full, but it's enough to sustain himself on. It's stupid and silly, but the first thought that pops into my head is like, dude needs to stop ordering sushi.
This is true.
Because that is
This is
exactly
so
what
true.
sushi does.
Like but he has that taste, right? He's very
Right.
specific taste,
Right.
and he's like, "This is all I'm going to eat." And everyone's like, "Dude, in order to eat enough sushi to fill your belly, we're gonna have a very large bill. Please do not. Please order some hibachi to go with it, please, please, or even just rice. Everyone likes
Yeah.
rice.
Just
You can
something.
have
Just
just
something.
something else, something more filling than just. You can't have you can't have 10 pieces of sashimi and call it good and then have like 20 pieces of nigiri and be like, oh, that's fine. No, you can't do that. That's too expensive.
uh but no. So that was just that was the thought that popped in my head and I could not get rid of it.
Oh, it tracks. It
It
100%
does. It
tracks here.
really does.
I mean, he even talks about all the other stuff that he tries to feed off, and they're like, "Oh, that's too bitter. That's not. I don't like that. Like, it's too sour. Curry. I don't know. I'm not taking. No, I don't like curry. Get that out of here." I feel like he's like me. I have a very picky. I Myth, you have no idea. Like when we go out, like people they're like, we have to pick a place that Zor can eat at, and I'm just like, no, it's fine. We can eat wherever. I will find something. If I have to eat off the kids menu and it's a grilled cheese, it's fine. But everyone's like, no, we got to find some place. So it's yeah, no,
Yeah.
I can relate.
Oh, well. All of that aside, Taranis has followed this trail to the Dreaming City and to Riven. And that brings us then to chapter number 2, titled The Second Gift. And the little intro statement from Taranis for this one says, "Oh, my eggs, oh, my whims, more precious than my eyes, dearer than my tongue. Eat my story. Take it into your bodies. Grow your egg teeth. Crack your shells and choose." And then the chapter itself goes like this. Two forms move about the dreaming city, curving between the pressures of gravity and desire. Riven turns long, streaming whiskers and mane behind her, sunset golds draping themselves across her sides. In response, Taranis's bare hide sprouts carp scales in gleaming blue. His wings recede as his mane grows. He twists around Riven, neck on neck for a moment, before he slips ahead through the mists of Devalia. There's a wish on the wind, a mind far below, dreaming of a change to the world. Taranis noses toward it. One of Mara's awoken, sits under the vault of a broken geode, his dreams looking over the shifting mists. Ambition is woven through his thoughts, a wish for a more comfortable home, one shaped like a memory, with a parent in the distributary, making sesame pastries soaked in honey, too sweet, too sticky, but beloved all the same. Riven crouches like a gargoyle on the cliff above as Taranis spirals down to meet him. They speak. They learn one another's names. Taranis and Gwilym. A tripod-legged silver tray with a teapot and plate settles beside them. Taranis, curled into a cat-like form, sits with Gwilym. A few crumbs land on his side, a few tears. Gwilym rises when the sun slips to the edge of the fabricated horizon. He holds out a hand in thanks and startles when Taranis grows a thumb to clasp it. No wonder you're so small, Riven says, when Taranis has wound his way back up the cliff to her. It's barely a mouthful, filling one small desire without grasping for more. Not much more than a sip. It's enough, says Taranis. It's foolish. Riven snarls with all the forces available to her. A strong, well-fed Ahamkara in the heart of her power. A king enthroned. Then I am a fool. The tip of Taranis' tail reaches for Riven's, and they twine together. She does not shake it off. Some time passes, and then Riven prowls through the grove. It thrills Taranis to see her here, to feel her will pushing at its borders. His nest has been potential life. It was missing this active life. The pressures of will and desire, the chance to choose more. May I show you my nest, O Riven, O creator of a city of pearls, O shaper of souls. Riven shudders her eyes with great plates of bone. That mode of speech is unworthy, O foolish companion mine. But naming without claim suits Taranis. It's an argument he and Riven will never settle. He will call her O beloved, O master artisan, without ever appending the mine. And she will forever call him her fool. Riven, then, I'd show you my grove as you showed me your city. They walk the stone pathways softened by moss. They climb through flowers, and condensation from the damp air rolls down their necks. Taranis guides Riven to the heart of his nest, and he watches her stride through it, taking the lead. I have seen the things Mara's brother brought back from this place. They didn't smell of your nest. His ambitions didn't suit my palate. The prince and his partner hadn't approached Taranis' nest on their journey. Taranis had made sure of it. Riven's will causes eddies in the fabric of Taranis' home. It begins to grow around her into more of a place of mystery, a place of dangers for the unwary. Taranis rests his jaws on his forelimbs, watching, nudging her will with his own when the changes grew too vast. He wants this. His home is still his own. Riven circles back to Taranis, who is sprawled in a patch of grass, and she sits on him resentfully. You are singularly unlike any Ahamkara I have met. I am astonished you're still alive. Riven grows heavier. Tanaris snorts into the grass as his body presses into it. Hasn't your time with the Awoken changed you? We both made the choices our homes gave us. Yours, less than you could be. Taranis settles more firmly into the grass. I am myself. That is the end of my ambition. Your brain has shrunk with your stomach. Riven presses her claws into Taranis' spine. Her voice thrums together in frustration. We will build here together. If you won't let yourself grow, then we will make something that does. And they do. So we're going to pause there.
I was gonna say that's getting hot, Myth. Whew, whew, baby. I didn't realize they were going this in depth through the. Like, I know Bungie doesn't shy away from stuff, but holy shit, they are not shying away whatsoever.
Yeah,
A
this is
fan or
now
something in this
a
room. This has gone after dark, Myth. I don't know what. Like, we may not be able to finish this passage.
Yeah, this is now a rated R episode.
It's something. Jesus, this was holy shit. I was okay. I really was, and then I wasn't.
Yeah. Well, so going back a little bit here, we get we and Riven kind of see Taranis grant another wish, specifically to this awoken Gwillem, who as far as I'm aware, has not come up before.
I don't think so.
And Gwillem is homesick, essentially, is wishing for a reminder of his home in the distributary and the parents he left behind, and the specifically thinking about like these pastries they used to make. And so Taranis comes down, and he maybe isn't able to grant the wish in like sending him back to that time, but is at the very least able to bring into reality these pastries as like a reminder of what that time was like.
Yeah.
And he does he poofs into existence this teapot and plate with these pastries, and just kind of curls up like a cat, uh, and lets Gwillem just kind of bask in the nostalgia and the memories that it brings, and you know gets his little sip of energy off of granting a wish without complication. And Riven is very much like, you're stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
like why did you just give him what he wanted? You can't eat, like you can't live off that. And he's, it's enough for me. Like that's what he's decided is how he's going to feed, is by granting wishes.
I do like that where he's like that's who I am. Like, it's enough for me, and that's I accept that. Like, that's
Yeah.
that, and for him, like, that's it. Like, there's no that even throughout the rest of this particular entry, it doesn't seem like there's any time where like Ribbon tries to push him to do more, and he like gives in or anything. No, he's fully defined himself as like, this is how
Mm-hmm.
this is how I live my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like it. I do like the idea of like, um, it says cat-like form, so in my mind it's just a big cat, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like a panther laying next to Gwillem, like talking to him. Because they learned each other's names, so it had to have been talking. Um, so I'm trying to imagine this from the side of Gwillem, right? Like this thing that couldn't quite make out what it was, but by the time it hits the ground is a panther, comes up to you and starts talking to you, and then out of nowhere there's a tripod silver thing with a plate and crumbs, and this sesame pastry with honey and tea, and now you're just having a good time. You're like, man, this is a damn good afternoon, having a nice little talk here with this panther. And then you're like, okay, thanks, panther, and you go to leave, and like you go to shake his hand, and the panther like grows a thumb and shakes your hand back, and you're just like, what the fuck is this? And then you just go about your day. Like
Yeah.
that just that's a weird interaction. Like when Gwillem gets home, does he like to? They were like, dude, you guys. To me, Gwillem was on. They had to have thought he was on some mushrooms or something. Like he
Well,
gets home and he
and
describes this whole thing, and everyone's like, Gwillem, you've got to stop mushroom hunting on your own.
yeah.
You need to go in groups.
Lay off. It's
Just
okay.
fucking take a break. Just I miss home too, but come on, man. A panther with thumbs. Get out of here.
Yeah.
No,
we're
guys, I
benders
swear. I swear, man. It grew a thumb. It freaked me out, man.
but but yeah, and I also think a little later on when like Taranis has now brought Riven to the Black Garden and is kind of showing her like, this is my domain.
Yeah.
I think it's like in the way that only Ahamkara could make it romantic, this idea of neither of them end the anthem and a theme for each other. They
Well,
never
I
say
don't think
mine at the end of
so.
anything.
She does, because like in the one there's an
Oh,
entry
right.
here. Where's it? Oh, foolish
He
companion mine.
Yeah,
He
he will never
specifically
end it with mine.
doesn't. And I think that's interesting too. Like again, I think that's part of him like saying this is my identity towards you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he never and I love that they've like come up with like little pet names for each other, like she's his beloved and he's her fool. Like that's
Yeah.
I think that's super cute. But yeah, it was interesting to me. Now is there like Riven looks at that, like Riven looks down at her. I guess at first Riven looks down at him. Obviously they grow together, but it seems like at first like Riven kind of like looks down at him for that,
A little
like
bit.
like you should be using the mine, like
Well, because again, like that's just part of what Ahamkara do. Because we know
right.
like the anthem and a theme is a means for the Ahamkara to have ownership over the thing they're talking to in a way. Like
And like
it's
true ownership, like not just like
right.
a
It's
hey, I bought this so it's mine. Like no, it's like at its
yeah.
very core, whatever that thing that they are surrounding with O and mine is theirs. It is fully their own, like they own every aspect of it.
Yeah, I guess maybe owning it isn't necessarily the correct term. It's they're exerting control,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is a very like fundamental thing for an Ahamkara. Like when they talk to somebody, they're exerting control over them so that they can, potentially manipulate them either to feed off them or get them to do something that is beneficial for the Ahamkara. And Riven is still sticking to that because it's instinctual for all Ahamkara as far as we know.
Yeah.
But Taranis being of a different mindset, of being of the mindset of like, I'm not trying to control who I'm talking to. I am trying to altruistically grant their desire. And so he doesn't put mine at the anything. He doesn't complete the anthem and the theme because he doesn't want to exert manipulation over whatever he's talking to. He wants it to just be a a discussion between equals.
Yeah.
So just
Well,
another like
that's got to
little
be like
way
a
that
product.
they differentiate.
Yeah, well, to me, that's got to be a product of like how he was born.
Oh yeah, I
Again,
mean he
thinking
learned
back to the
everything
early,
himself.
exactly. Like there was no mother or father looking for him. There was nothing. He had no brothers or sisters near him to build, like to feed off of each other, and like, like me growing up with a brother, we always like we always had each other's back, but we would always like shit on each other too. Like that's just kind of how siblings are. But yeah, he had nothing. He very much is a different Ahamkara. Like for him to have the ways that he is about him, where he feeds just enough to be full for that night, and then that's it. To not
Yeah.
to not use the mine syntax in there, like it's very much a him having grown alone.
Yeah. And him coming to his own conclusion on how he was going to feed.
Yeah,
Uh yeah. And also super interesting that, and I guess it makes sense. He was here when Aldrin and Julian made their
I
trip into the
I
Black
love that.
Garden.
And then like he specifically like keeps them away, like don't touch that. Like
Yeah.
these two poor kids who are tripping out of their mind in this place. Like they're pulling up weeds and there's microprocessors and little IC chips crawling around like little bugs underneath it. And Taranis is like, "Yeah, you guys stay over there. Don't come near my stuff."
Yeah. But so, I continuing this um chapter, kind of the second half of it, Taranis and Riven uh, decide to grow things in the Black Garden. So it continues, with Riven saying, we will build here together. If you won't let yourself grow, then we will make something that does. And it continues, the language of secrets and desire passes between them as they build. Mysteries bury themselves in the grass. The grove grows wilder. Paths sprawling out to meet Riven's nest in the dreaming city. Alight with creation, Taranis says, there's one more thing I want to make with you. He does not stop to lay out a contract. There is no bargain, with each Ahamkara giving precisely what is owed and no more, in fear of being devoured by their partner. There are no clauses to whittle down. Taranis simply doesn't hold back. Instead, he gives himself as a gift, and Riven gives herself to him in return. And together, they make something new. Taranis unspools his own cells into embryos, pulling from his lungs and heart and blood, taking the initiator's role. In response, Riven kindles them, feeding Taranis a sire's strength for the task. Together they spin will and memory into shells to house the embryos. Their future whims, a great gamble, and a solidified future. The two of them and their clutch, a new generation of Ahamkara raised in the dreaming city and the black garden, to one day be as they wish. What other Ahamkara had created life like this? With generosity and affection, with teeth unbared and voice unspilled? If any had, Taranis had never met them, nor heard their story. Taranis sprawls out against the cold stone and moss of his nest, exhausted. Riven stands by him, inspecting their eggs with cool, critical eyes. Their first gift to their whims is existence. And that's the end of chapter 2.
Well, there we go. They made a bunch of babies.
So, yeah, it is interesting, though. They literally pull
Oh,
the cells
yeah.
from their organs
Yeah.
to
It's an actual
create.
creation. There's
Yeah,
no what I would call traditional lovemaking going on here. It's it's magical. I'll tell you that much.
it is that.
It is that. So yeah, like it's I got nothing, man. I got this. That Bungie wrote a story, and I'm just along for the ride at this point.
Yeah, now I will say
Did they screw it up
that
again here too? Did they say Dam and Sire incorrectly again?
maybe. So, like, traditionally, yes. Sire is male, dam is female. We went over that. Uh, I guess maybe if you wanted to argue, you could say that in Ahamkara, the dam is the one that makes the embryos, and the sire is the one that makes the eggs that house them. And in that instance, these two are reversed.
And maybe that's what.
Uh,
So okay, so maybe that's just how it is then.
it might just be an Ahamkara thing. It might be that they
That's
don't designate by
yeah.
gender; they designate by like who had what part of the egg making process.
I love that this has officially become Ahamkara Biology 101.
It
Like
kind of has. It
it's
kind of has.
this whole episode, I was like, I can we make it through? Nope, we cannot.
Nope.
Nope, this is just what
Uh,
it is now.
but it's a really interesting idea here at the end, and it truly makes me wonder. Hopefully, we see these eggs hatch in game at some point.
I'd love to see that because they're all so they are all. Where are they at right now?
I mean, the Dreaming City, I guess.
Are they being housed in the in Riven's coil? So okay, so that's the other connection I wanted to make here too. They talk about their two nests, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Riven's nests. So each Ahamkara, or I guess not nest, each Ahamkara has a layer, and
Seems that way.
within that layer can be their nests.
Yeah.
Um, so Taranis's layer is in the Black Garden.
Yep.
And Riven's is in specifically the coil. I think is the actual like when we
Yeah.
go through the coil, that's her layer. That's Riven's layer, and that's in the Dreaming City. And it does make an interesting thing here. Like, what better place to like have? I I want to say like the greatest offspring of Ahamkara you could ever have, of the two greatest places of possibility.
Right. And the other thing is that these Ahamkara, and I do quite love that baby Ahamkara called Whims.
I love
Uh,
it. I love it.
these Ahamkara, these Whims, have the potential to be unlike any other Ahamkara ever.
Yeah.
Because, like, Taranis kind of alludes to here, like, no other Ahamkara, as far as he's aware, has been born out of pure generosity and love. Like, it's always been a contract is signed
Yeah.
essentially between two Ahamkara to continue their their bloodline.
Their species existence.
Yeah, like it seems more like it's purely
all,
out of necessity.
all Ahamkaras are just secret lawyers.
I mean, yes, yes.
Oh shit.
But it does seem very much like traditionally Ahamkara eggs are only made out of pure necessity, and each side like has to make an agreement about
Yeah.
what exactly they will put into it. And
One's
this
like,
this
here, I'll give
wasn't.
you my heart cells.
Yeah.
I want your wing cells. Like, can you have your eyes? Is that okay? My eyes are colorless. I like the green in yours. Put those in there. I
Yeah,
feel like that's
like
exactly how it is too.
I I would believe it 100%. But this wasn't that. This was just two entities creating life out of a desire for love to have a form.
It's true love myth. Just call it what it is. It's true. Bungie finally gave it to me. Thank you, Bungie.
Yeah, and then they both died.
God damn it. You're not wrong.
But
Fuck.
their whims are still out there. But no, so it's just a very. I would be very interested to see what kind of Ahamkara hatch out of these eggs, because
I'm
maybe
telling you,
they'd be more like Taranis.
they're going to be something completely different.
Yeah,
Like it's again, I think of that idea of like they're in the two greatest places of mystery and possibility, right? Like the Dreaming City and the Black Garden. Like
which
they're
that's another thing. It implies that they literally like grew connections between the Dreaming
yeah.
City and the Black Garden.
Which, and to me, again, thinking of this from the point of the Vex and the Black Garden itself, that means that the Black Garden can no longer ever be disconnected from our timeline or reality.
Presumably,
Or like if the gate on the moon shuts down, doesn't matter. The Black
there's
Garden is
a way.
inherently tied to our existence and this reality.
Now, to be fair, we don't know if those pathways still exist or if they were destroyed at some point
Oh, true, true,
later
true,
on.
true, true.
But maybe might still be there. But so that brings us to chapter 3, the third gift, with another quote from Taranis, who says, "Oh, eggs, oh, little cells, if nothing else, if you let this memory pass with no exegesis, learn this: you were loved." And then the chapter itself goes like this: Taranis and Riven scatter their eggs across space-time, giving them life to look on and grow near. From his grove, a nursery once more, Taranis broods on them. He takes on avian characteristics, letting feathers grow along a snake-like body. He fluffs himself up in his nest to spin new dreams for their clutch. He hums with pride, and his eggs chime along with him. When he was born, Taranis had hatched out in the cold, nothing but his shell to sustain him. But their eggs, he vows, will have more. They will have a surfeit. They will know the names of their forebears, dam and sire both. If I had known eggs would have settled you down so much, I'd have proposed it myself long ago, says Riven. Her voice is distant and comes to him with the energy of her city, moving like cold water over gleaming stone, a sure sign that she is at work with her queen. Between life and death, you chose life. Taranis, his voice plain as it is, makes sure his smugness carries all the way to the dreaming city. I could still kill you. In perfect security, Taranis responds, but you won't. And Riven's laugh is that of a pride of lions. Time passes until one day, Riven's voice faintly reaches out across space to Taranis. Don't come to the dreaming city. Stay in your nest. Taranis rouses. Too busy at your work today. Light bearers are hunting Ahamkara. The Awoken are helping. Taranis stands. They won't hurt me. Maybe I can talk sense into them. He lets the strands bringing their minds together fall from his grasp. Listen to me, Riven presses. The dreaming city boils with activity, violent desires rising within its citizens. They load weapons, they make plans. Taranis recoils from their dreams. Riven's power is leashed, and she roars through her bars. You colossal fool! Leave, or I'll bite your throat open. But Taranis does not leave. The queen of the city stands in a hall. She is surrounded by her people and crates of weapons ready to be distributed to allies outside the reef. Taranis avoids them all, tracking the scent of other Ahamkara. He finds Azarim alone in a glade of luminous reeds, worrying at a piece of quartz. Azarim's shape is spiked today, sharp with defenses. His voice is more sour than usual. You missed the crowd. Guess your nest was just too far to make it in time. Spikes grew along Taranis' own spine, edging his wings. And you waited. Yeah, I wanted to let you know. Azarim's jaw drops into a smile. You're tight with the lady of the house, but it won't save you. And it won't save her. You're both just fish in the barrel now. My partners won't return death for generosity. Oh, you think that now? Me, I'll welcome it. I'll live forever as bones. I'll eat life, I'll eat worlds. You just watch me from that nice roost garden of yours. And Azarim's laugh is the last part of him to fade from the glade. Taranis scuttles along the wainscoting, a shift mouse shape. Boots thump past him, tracking mud and urgency along the tiles. Wishes push at Taranis for success, for safety, for the thrill of the hunt. Taranis searches for an awoken he knows, a partner once dealt with in fairness. Gwilym is in his room, tying back his long hair, bright silver against the deep blue of his hands. There is a bag on the hook by the door, a knife tucked inside, its edge wetted. Gillem's muddled desires fill the room with a heavy steam. Behind him, Taranis lets himself grow from mouse to cat, the shape Gwilym knew him in. Will you join the hunt, O companion? Gwilym jumps. His hand leaps to his heart, clutching the heavy fabric of his jacket. You shouldn't be here. I shouldn't visit a partner. Taranis' long tail twitches. Azarim killed the last partner I had. Walked her and the rest of her Corsair squad right off a cliff. The Dreaming City can't afford more losses to the Ahamkara. Wilhelm's voice is that of a man convincing himself. Azarim is not all of us. Gwilym raises his voice in alarm, and a tall corsair quickly barrels through the door. And Taranis makes it out the window in dragonfly form, just out of the reach of the gloved hand snatching for him. We're going to pause there.
Well, now I remember the name of the one that walked him off the cliff. It's right freaking
Yep.
there. Yeah. As soon as I saw Azram the first time, I was just like, okay, yeah, he's yeah, that's the guy.
Yep.
That's the one. Yeah. So this is a great hunt. This is the end of the Ahamkara happening right here, and it's obviously Taranis is like from Taranis from the mind of Azram. First off, Azram is fucking nuts.
I mean, yeah.
Can I just point that out real freaking quick? He's nuts. So screw that guy. Taranis though, like Taranis is looking at this and he's like, now hold on, like they've got to know that all Ahamkara aren't just like greedy little shitheads. Well, spoiler alert: 99.9% of them are greedy little shitheads.
Yeah.
So yeah, if that's all you've been presented with data of like, well, this is the only interactions I've had with Ahamkara are as greedy little shitheads, like then yeah, I have no reason to believe that you're any different, Taranis. So I do like that Taranis tried to find a friend, um, uh, and again came to him as a cat with thumbs, and was like, hey, you know, we can this like, can we talk this out or something? And Willem's just like, yeah, the last Ahamkara that I dealt with killed my partner. I'm pretty sure we're gonna kill all of you. And he's like, now hold on, just wait a second. And Willem's like, nope, nope. Hey guys, Corsairs, Ahamkara in the corner, right here. And it
Yeah.
blows my mind that like in that amount of time, like a Corsair just instantly just boom right through the door. It's like it's almost like they have Corsairs stationed at every door, and then like all
I
they have to do is
mean,
wait. I mean, right? Like that's kind of the thing, right?
if they're preparing for war,
They are. I
like,
mean,
then
the
yeah,
amount
they
of
probably have Corsairs everywhere.
at literally everywhere, and so it's just like instantaneous, like boom, bust through the door, and like kill them all. And even Riven's like, get the hell out of here. Like I like obviously at this point in time, Riven is now being locked in the vault. Um,
Yes.
like that is actively happening right now. Riven is being locked in the vault at the same vault that we unlock to get to her. In the last Wish raid. And she's telling like as this is happening, she's like, "You need to leave, Taranis. Like that's like if you don't leave, I'll kill you and just call it good." Like which is kind of messed up, but
Well,
I
I
mean,
see that less of a real threat and more of a, like, the desperation on her part to be
I
like,
think so.
dude, don't get caught. You need to not
Anything to
be
get him
here.
out of there. Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
yeah. God, that's it's got to be terrifying. Again, we've always looked at the Great Hunt from the side of the Guardians and the people that killed all the Ahamkara. We've never looked at it from the side of the Ahamkara, which again,
Yeah.
that's kind of odd that we've never done that because Ahamkara are obviously sentient beings. Like we should be able to look at it from their side and go, hey, this is the mass genocide of their entire species. Maybe this is a bad thing. Yeah, if more Ahamkara were like Taranis, like maybe
Maybe.
I don't know, but like if too many of them are like Azram, ugh,
Right.
ugh.
Well,
I
and we know that there
don't like that
aren't.
Ahamkara.
Yeah. Now we know of at least one other semi decent Ahamkara. I mean, I guess you can maybe count Riven amongst that, but the Ahamkara from Warlord's Ruin. Like,
Oh yeah,
they weren't quite the same as Taranis of just granting wishes, with little to no drawback, but they entered a deal with the warlord there of granting people's wishes, and then the warlord dealt with the repercussions, and like there was a friendship formed to the point
yeah,
where they like exacted revenge for the death of
yeah,
that warlord.
yeah.
So certainly not all Ahamkara were Azarim levels of maniacal.
He is straight. He's just like Like, you're gonna die. He's like, you know what? I'll welcome it. My bones will live on forever. I'll eat life. I'll eat worlds. You just sit in your
Yeah.
little rose garden over there. Your fancy little you, black garden, rose garden, whatever color it is today. I don't care. I'm gonna live forever as Bones, and it's like and I could picture this as like that's what Azram says, and then like Taranis is like got his hand to his head, and he's like, you realize if you're Bones, you're dead, dude. And Azram's just like, nope, I live forever, like with his fingers in his ears. Like that's I feel like that's how the conversation went on.
Well, and interestingly enough, we will learn in the next part of this chapter, Azarim's bones may be a little closer than we think.
Oh shit.
But so this chapter continues. Taranis has been running around the Dreaming City, tried to negotiate, failed, and he eventually returns to Riven. I don't think physically, but has like that psychic link with her.
Yeah.
So the chapter continues with Taranis sending a message to Riven saying, "Oh, love, you were right. I'm always right. If all we are is teeth, and all they are is claws, what world are we dreaming into existence together?" Taranis's wings cover his face. The soft breeze of the grove does not touch him. A world of teeth and claws. Many of Riven's voices are bitter, but none are surprised. The eggs are so delicate that they make no ripples at all in the fabric of reality. Their curled up potential, fragile within crystal will, hard to make, easy to shatter. We'll build ourselves, and even when we're bones, we'll sing to our children. Riven reaches out with a thread of thought, a secret overheard in the palace between Aldrin, Mara's brother, and Julian, his Rachis. It feels like raspberries and quartz. It smells like the Devalian mists. A fine secret to share and never speak aloud. Taranis unfolds himself from under his wings, and they weave it together into something grander. And together, Riven and Taranis weave more secrets for their children, for the joys of creation, for outwitting any future seekers. The voices of their fellow Ahamkara change slowly from the thrum of the living to the echo of the dead. Their bones whisper to powerful minds. A scale of Eo's shoulder eventually rattles in the pocket of Riven's mechanical acquaintance. Azarim's skull and spine lie in wait for a victim. The living voices recede till Riven and Taranis are the only ones left, speaking across the empty distance. Until Taranis calls for Riven, and she does not answer. And the chime of their eggs fall almost silent. And that's the end of chapter 3.
Yeah, Azram. You ain't gonna wish to nobody, sucker.
Well, I mean, they can still whisper as bones.
Until somebody finds him. Yeah.
Well, and that's what I'm wondering. They very much point out like the bones of Ao from
Yep.
D1.
Yep.
Scale of Ao's shoulder eventually rattles in the pocket of Riven's mechanical acquaintance. Is that Cade?
It's either Cade or well, yeah, because Cade's an EXO. Yeah, so maybe.
I just don't know what other mechanical acquaintance Riven would have.
Because Cade was close with Petra, and Cade presumably would have been the only Awoken that would have possibly gone in and out of the Dreaming City.
The only Exo. But yeah.
Exos, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, he's the only one I can think of that makes sense.
What other? I guess that's the question. Is like, what other Exo would have been permitted to be called Riven's acquaintance?
Right. And say AO, like Bones of AO is a hunter exotic.
Yep.
Um
It's got to be. It's got to be Cade. Which means
I
Cade knew Riven.
have to think so. Well, he may not have known her, but just by being in the Dreaming City might have been enough to like she knew he was there, you know.
I mean, the to be called Riven's acquaintance, presumably means the two of them met.
I guess maybe.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. That's still freaky to think of. Like Cade. Oh my God! What if Cade made a wish? Oh my God! What if Cade made a wish?
You never
Oh my
know.
God! Do you know how many desires Cade has?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Cade's wish is like it just
Fuck! I
it
don't
would
even.
that Ahamkara would have fed till they popped.
That's
Like,
what I'm saying. Like, it's fucking Cade, man. Like, that's wishes for days. Yeah. I am curious about this. This secret place overheard in the palace between Uldren and Julian. Like, what is it?
feels like raspberries and
Weave it together.
quartz, smells like the Devalian mists. A fine secret to share and never speak aloud.
What's out in the Devalian mist? That's the landing zone, right? Like when you come into the Dreaming City, that's the first. That's like where you transmit into, right? Because there's that, and then
Yes.
to the north is, oh God, Rasophalian. Fuck. Words are hard, man. Bungie makes up some hard ass freaking words.
Rhea Silvia, I think
that
is what
one.
you're going for. Yeah.
And then to the east is the other place.
The Strand, I believe.
Strand, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that like Dreaming City is the Devalian Mists. I'm trying to remember. So there was a discussion between Aldrin and Julian, and I'm trying to remember what it like after they got back from the
when Julian was going through like PTSD and he was like very much trying to avoid the conversation, and Aldrin was like trying to press him, and then Julian was like, I don't want to go back there. I want to forget everything we saw. And Aldrin's like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, okay, we won't talk about it, buddy. All right, bye. But in the back of his mind, he's like, dude, I gotta go back there. I gotta go back there.
Yeah, so I don't know if what she heard between them was just the two of them talking about what they saw in the Black Garden.
Could be.
But I don't. I'm not sure what discussion may have been had there.
Raspberries and quartz. I'm not. It feels like raspberry and quartz. I mean, unless it's like raspberry Pi, right? Like not.
So
like the computer, not like.
Right. Yeah.
Get it? Because raspberry and quartz, and they were in the Black Garden, and everything was like icy chips running around like bugs.
So I wonder if this is Riven putting a contingency plan in place with Taranis, because I just found this. This is from the Season of Arrival's Hold Fast Cloak, where Aldrin and Julian, and this is the last conversation they had prior to Aldrin's death, or at least that's recorded in lore.
Because they don't speak again as like, I know Petra like pokes Julian at some point.
Yeah,
like, hey, you should go talk to him or something like that, and Julian's like, no, that man died. Like that's not the same man.
As far as we know, they have not spoken again since his resurrection.
Oh man, wouldn't that be something to see in final shape?
That would be quite the scene.
The two of them, like, oh God, the tension in the air there would be like, oh
yeah. But no, so, but in this last entry here between Aldrin and Julian, they're on the range. Aldrin is being spotter for Julian once more. And Julian is kind of like noting that Aldrin's squinting and seems distracted when like the sun isn't in a position that should cause him to need to squint or anything.
Right.
And he recognizes, quote unquote, something dark within Aldrin's eyes. Uh, and I'm wondering if this is the point where Riven like put whatever that little bead of darkness was into Aldrin's eye, that from that point forward was just
Oh,
always there as a
and
means.
Taranis
Well,
helped like push it into it. Because it says
yeah,
he unfolds
because
himself from under his wings, and they weave it together into something grander. So maybe that is a
yeah.
wish. Oh, do you think that's Riven's wish?
I mean, I don't know what the end, I guess maybe the end goal was like that was the initial inception of like use Aldrin to break Riven free.
I wonder if that's what it was. Because so I'm trying to remember from the mission itself. Taranis, there's something like when you get to the end of it, there's something talked about how like Taranis died in that space because he wished for himself.
Right. Yes.
Do you think that's what's happening here with Riven? Is Riven making a wish for herself, and that's what's causing her end?
Well, she doesn't end. Like she doesn't die till we kill her.
Right, but
Uh
we don't know that us killing her wasn't part of her wish.
I guess, but with Taranis, it's described as like he decayed to bones within very short order
Sure,
of wishing
like
for
almost
himself.
instantaneously type thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, we don't know enough to know maybe there are multiple ways it could play out. Um I see this as Riven overhearing Aldrin and Julian talking and her recognizing that Aldrin already had some of this like corruption starting from the Black Garden.
Sure,
And she reached out to Taranis, who lives in the Black Garden and knows how that place works. And together they just gave a little power boost to
like just
whatever
they
was
just
already in Aldrin.
yeah, like they just hit it and was just like amplify it.
And perhaps with the intention of like, this is a backup plan for us to use later if we need to.
I mean, at the end of the day, it could have worked.
Yeah.
If Riven had not been corrupted, then that would have broken her out.
Right.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Maybe this is just a wish to get her out,
Right. Like,
and then the events happened that that I mean, we technically got her out, but then she was corrupted, so we had to kill her.
right. Because thinking back on it, she was taken by Oryx, and then Savathun took control of her after Oryx's death. Neither of them had a reason to care about, like, if anything, they probably wanted her still stuck in the Dreaming City.
Right.
So Aldrin being led through the events of Forsaken to, reopen the Dreaming City and break her out were 100% of Riven's own doing. Like she's the only one that benefited from that.
Yeah, she just wanted to be broken out so she could go be with Taranis.
And maybe this was them like laying the initial steps of that becoming a possibility. Of course, not knowing that she would be taken and,
Right.
wouldn't be
Well,
100% in control
because
of
that's
herself.
the I guess that's another question too. Do we like clearly wish magic is not paracausality, but I mean
I
wish
mean, it
magic.
is.
Sure, but I guess it doesn't have the same workings. Like I'm curious as to like how does paracausality of the Taken and darkness and light play into wishes?
Yeah, we don't have enough info to
You know what I'm
know.
saying? Like I
Yeah.
don't know if that's because if Riven, because I don't think that Ahamkara are like fortune tellers. Like they can't see the future.
I don't think so, no.
Like they're like I think it is like what you're saying. Like they were like, hey, Riven's trapped down here. Everyone around us is dying. Like all the other Ahamkara are being like brushed off into the night. Like okay, well, there's one person that knows where I'm at, and that would be Mara's brother, and he's got this twitching in his eye, and because he's starting to go insane from the Black Garden, and then they're like, okay, well, this is how we can break you out. That like that's what Riven and Taranis are like. Okay, look, we can do it this way, and that way it's I'm not coming to break you out, but somebody else is. And then like they put that plan, they put that. I'm gonna call it a wish. I'm gonna call it a
Yeah.
wish to be broken out. But again, if Riven made a wish for herself, then I
Well,
think you're
and I
right. I think it would have happened like Taranis happened,
yeah,
like it happened to Taranis. She would have decayed instantly.
I think it's a little different than her making a wish and having something happen instantly, because that was ultimately Taranis's wish. It was protect, like
Protect
scatter
the
and
eggs.
protect these
Yeah.
eggs.
Yep.
Um, so it may not have been a wish per se, so much as a like, hey, we're gonna do this. We're gonna pump some power into it. We know it's there as a like emergency backup that we can tug on.
Yeah.
I don't, because if Riven made the like I wish to be free, I am under the impression that she would
Yeah. She'd be
instantly
dead.
be
Yeah.
free, and
Instantly.
then
Yeah.
she
Yeah. Yeah.
would die,
Yep. Yep.
essentially.
Nope. I agree 100% there. So yeah. So maybe this was their way to like create a way to like what you're saying, like a delayed. I'm thinking of it in terms of D&D. Like, hey, I'm gonna hold my actions until the boss,
Yeah,
until the dragon comes up out of the water. Then I'm gonna use my action to and my bonus action. Yeah, no, that's what's happening here. Okay, yeah, I like it. I like that explanation of like it's not a full on wish for herself, but it's the two of them kind of planting the seed of like free Riven.
yeah,
Like it's she's not wishing to be free. They are wishing that somebody frees her. I know it sounds like it's the same thing, but it's slightly different.
right. And Ahamkara are the masters of nuance.
That's what I'm
So
saying. Like they would know like that's how their magic works is it's that little bit of nuance is just enough to be like, well, I didn't wish for myself to be free. I just wished for somebody to free me. Like who knew what that somebody would be or when that would happen? Like I don't know. I didn't yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. I can accept that. I can accept that. Well, and real quick, the final line there where it says the chime from their eggs falls almost silent. That's us
yeah.
killing all the corrupted eggs.
No, we're
Oh.
not at that point in the timeline yet.
Oh shit.
Um, that
Oh, because
is,
that doesn't
and
happen
the
until after she dies.
right, and the chime of their eggs fall almost silent. So previously, Riven and Taranis had been kind of feeding their eggs
Right.
together. Um, Presumably with a lot more of that coming from Riven, just because she has a lot more power to give.
Sure.
Uh, but now, like Taranis calls out for Riven, she does not answer, and the chime of their eggs fall almost silent. I don't think that's the eggs have been destroyed. That's the like the eggs are no longer getting food, or
Okay.
they're not getting very much, at
I was
least.
taking that. I was taking that as like when he stops hearing from her, like that's the moment she gets taken.
So I do think that's true. But the moment she gets like she was taken for years before we ever saw her.
Oh, that's right. Because she
Because
gets taken as
Oryx
soon
took
as
her.
or yeah, and
Yeah.
that happened in D1, right? Like near the battle of Saturn, or near the time of the Battle of Saturn,
Yeah.
which would have been almost 3 years before Forsaken, when we break into the city and kill her, and then get Wishender, and which was still another 3 weeks after that that would get Wishender, and then start killing all of her eggs.
Yeah.
Which then had to take place over the course of 6 weeks because of the different areas that all the eggs were in. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm following. I'm following. And Taranis would have been long dead by the time Forsaken happens.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But so, the last chapter here, titled The Last Bargain, the little excerpt from Taranis states, "Oh, my eggs. We meant to have eternity, to think our voices could be silenced forever. Sharpen your sight for unintended clauses. Step carefully around the waiting snare. Beware the bargain that makes you less than what you were." And then the chapter goes like this. Taranis crawls small and silent through Acelia's gardens. Power drips through the dreaming city, corrupting its air, cracking its shining facets. Creatures lurch through the grass on the strings of their master's desire, their own wills gone to rot. Corruption spreads from the center of the dreaming city. The grit at the pearl's heart poisons the city, poisons Riven, and poisons their eggs from the inside out. And there's a murmur. Taranis slithers towards it to listen. But what speaks is not Riven, not as Taranis knows her. Taranis knows her every voice, the way her claws tug at reality. There is no shape Riven could take in which he would not know her, and there should be no shape Taranis could take in which Riven would not know him. But now, Riven does not know him, does not taste Taranis's fear on the wind, does not look away from her revenge to notice him at all. And Taranis returns to his nest unseen, in grief. Life flows along the branches of the nursery. However, many paths have been closed off outside. Potential still flourishes in this grove, light and dark, giving off new buds together. Taranis shuts himself off from it, retreating to his hoard of secrets. Stone grows up his sides. Moss and vines follow, tracing words on his sides. While dormant, Taranis listens to this new Riven's voice, the voice of a king, uninterested in magnanimity. A strong and unyielding voice that tastes of iron. Only faint chimes of his Riven are left in the wishborn shells of their remaining eggs. And there are so few left. The thought rouses Taranis from his stupor. Taranis and Riven are the last Ahamkara. What Riven has become is an abdication of responsibility. Life only for her own sake. Power and spite. The final eggs are the last living remnants of Riven and of their shared work. Taranis cannot abdicate his responsibility to them, can't erase their opportunity to choose. And as Taranis made his own life and suited his diet to his tongue, his eggs will make themselves. Vines break from Taranis's body as he stands. His eggs will survive. There is one last bargain he can make. One last gift he can give. One last use for his tongue. Taranis reaches out to his eggs. He gathers up his power, his life, his voice, his own wish for the sake of his children, and a snare for a future wish keeper. For the final time, Taranis opens his throat to speak. Oh, my eggs. Oh, my children. Oh, future whims. Oh, dreams of your own devising. I am dead, and Riven, your sire, is caged. Remember that easy meal. The little joy passes soon. What fills your belly forever is satisfaction. Grow well. Eat life to sate your belly's hunger and return it as a gift to sate your hearts. No bargain can grant you a life without pain. Make your bargains carefully, but give your gifts carelessly to all who enter your heart, and they will give life back to you in turn. All that is left of me is yours. Take it and choose. Choose with care who you will be. Promise me only that you will live. O Wish Keeper, my death is in your hands. Bear it well. Remember me. Remember, I was Taranis, Riven's mate, till the end. And that is the end of the lore book.
I get one good damn love story, and they kill him anyway. Assholes. Oh, okay. I'm not crying. I promise.
So Taranis visits the Dreaming City, realizes that everything there
Fucked.
is corrupted and gone, is no longer what he knew he knew it as before. And I think I think it's accurate to say at this point, and it sounds like maybe um, it sounds like maybe Riven had some of the eggs in the Dreaming City, and Taranis had some of the eggs in the Black Garden.
I mean, that's the only way they didn't corrupt all of them, right? Like that to me. That's the only way that because again, when we first come across the eggs in Forsaken, like we kill them and we're convinced like that's it. Like
Right.
we finished it. Like we killed. Like Riven was the last Ahamkara. We killed all our eggs. Game's over. We go home, make tea, have fun.
Right. And Taranis confirms for us here that as far as he was aware, he and Riven were the last Ahamkara.
Yep.
Uh so it's so that kind of like confirms that extra that yeah, there are no more living Ahamkara at this point outside of the
Yep.
unborn ones. Um I'm taking this to be like he visited the Dreaming City. Clearly Riven was no longer the Riven he knew, and the eggs that were there were corrupted and no longer the eggs he knew. And the only thing left of the original Riven and of their clutch were whatever eggs he had with him. And his wish is very broad. Uh, I mean, it cost him his life to do so. But his wish is essentially like, make sure my children live. And he seems to know that the enacting of that wish is going to require a protector of sorts for these children. And so he knows that like there will be somebody that has to by the laws of this wish coming true, someone will eventually come that will need to make sure this wish is kept, aka a wish keeper. And so his final line is to us, because we end up being the wish keeper. He says, "My death is in your hands. Bear it well." The bow, this weapon was born of his death to protect his children. And then remember me. I was Taranis, Riven's mate till the end. And
Such a good like the lore in this little exotic mission is
oh, it really
fucking
is.
awesome.
It really is.
Yeah.
So yeah,
All right.
that is the end of Gifts and Bargains.
The last Ahamkara, well, the last Ahamkara at the time. So okay, so what does this mean moving forward? We have a few eggs. Like
Yep.
I still cannot get that picture of that one corrupted egg that Mara was holding near Savathun.
Yeah,
I
back in like
I
the back room when you jumped
yeah,
up
and you
during
could
Season
jump
of the
up and you could
Lost.
see
Yeah.
it through the bars, and like you try to shoot at it, and like your bullets stop at the doors, and you're just like, what the fuck is this shit about? So like maybe that was the egg that Savathun uncorrupted. I don't fucking know.
I don't think Savathun uncorrupted anything.
I
I
don't think
think
so
she
either.
found an egg of the original clutch.
And Mara's just like hanging on to it, just like, how do we fix this thing?
Maybe, yeah. It literally like it was never addressed during the season,
Never even touched on since then.
not in any of the lore, not
No,
anything,
wasn't
and
mentioned in like a cloak on a hunter or something like
nothing.
that. Nothing. It's just there, and we're just sitting there jumping and looking at it. And we're like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, somebody has to talk about this, and nobody even, not
Yeah,
even like nobody even acknowledges it. It's such a weird thing for that to have been there, and for nothing so far to have come in, because that would have been the season right before Witch Queen, so that'd been
yep.
almost 2 years now, over 2 years now, that's just been like, okay, that was a thing, and then the next egg we find is one that Savathun has been hiding um, in the oubliette.
Yep.
So yeah, it's whatever. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
and
I guess
so
we'll find out.
yeah, exactly. So I guess moving forward, then we know of at least maybe, I mean, a handful. We're talking 3 or 4 eggs at most. Because I don't even think there was that many eggs that we saved from the weekly missions. I mean, it was literally like maybe 4 or 5,
Yeah,
including Sabathoons.
maybe like 6, but not. Yeah,
At max
still
6.
we're like half a dozen
Yeah.
at most.
And that's all the Ahamkaras that exist right now, is in those eggs.
Yep.
And presumably the one corrupted one. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens when they hatch.
Yeah, we will.
Maybe they'll hatch. Maybe they'll float into the heliopause, and they'll hatch and become like Taranis and just feed very daintily.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's important to point out like Taranis left all of this book and the passages at the beginning of each chapter, like those are all meant for his children. And and he says in his final wish, like, remember the easy meal passes soon and gives you little joy. I But ultimately he wants them to choose. He doesn't want them to feel like they need to follow in the footsteps of any Ahamkara before them. He wants them to be whatever they want to be.
Sure.
Which, I mean, in a very human way, I guess. Like, what more does any parent want for their child?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I like it. I like it. Well, I guess if we're the wish keepers, like, these eggs are, I mean, these are like our like adopted babies.
they seem to be our charge
We have to
to
name them.
protect. Oh God.
We have to name all of our babies, Smith.
Or we could let them choose their own name.
Oh, letting the wish come true, I see. Ha ha! Well played, good sir. You just don't want to have to come up with 6 names, do you?
Yes.
6 names and one corrupted name. I'm not coming up with 6 names and one corrupted name. That's not happening. I'm sorry, I'm not that clever. It's gonna be Billy, Bob, Joe, Jolene, and Jill, and we'll call that one Jolien just because. And then the corrupted one is Frank.
Yes, of course. The well-known evil and maniacal Frank.
Frank. I'm just looking at it like family reunions, like all the Ahamkar there. They're having a great time. They've got their pot roast. They've got their fried chicken. They've got all the meal is laid out on the table. And like Frank shows up and he's like, "Hey guys, I brought some food, but it's laced with arsenic." And they're like, "God damn it, Frank! You can't do that. You're evil. We know you're evil. What am I?"
I will give you props to not naming any of them Puff.
Oh, damn it! That's a missed opportunity.
It is.
Shit. All right. Shit. I had a chance and I squandered it. I had one chance. Myth called me out on it, and it's now squandered. None of them can be named Puff. Damn
Nope.
it!
Nope.
Had one chance. That was it. All right. Well, since my chance is blown, let's do some shout outs.
Okay. So we got a couple of shout outs this time around. The first of which comes to us from Twitter. This is from the Artful Dodger, who says, I just listened to the story of a renegade and was wondering if we might get more Weapons of Hope in final shape. I'd like to hear your thoughts because I don't remember how Lumina was made.
So Myth and I had to think about this for a second, and we really had to like poke our brains to see if there was even another Weapon of Hope. Obviously, there's, and I say a bunch of Weapons of Sorrow, but for there to be more than like two, to me that feels like a bunch.
Yeah, I mean we know for sure Thorn, Necrochasm, Touch of Malice, Osteostriga.
Yeah. I mean that's to me. I mean the fact that there's more than one
four.
is enough to that's enough to be called a bunch.
Kind of, but unconfirmed, like quote unquote weapon of sorrow would be the necrotic grips. Because they were created as kind of like based on experiments with the original Thorn, but
right.
Yeah.
So maybe not weapon of sorrow, but armor of sorrow?
Sure, why not?
We'll call it that. We'll call that like the first set of like well no, because then there's the what's the Verity's Brow.
Yeah, but that's just ugly.
I know.
That's not a weapon of sorrow. That's just an ugly armor piece.
It's hive shit being put on.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
Grafting chitin onto yourself. So yeah, maybe there are armors of sorrow. But no, as far as like a weapon of hope, what was the other one you thought of, Myth?
So the only other one that I can think of that maybe qualifies would be the remade Hawkmoon.
Yeah,
and
that's
the
right.
only reason I say that is because like we were guided to it by the Traveler, and we found it at like the Shard of the Traveler. It was reborn or reforged
like
in the light. Right.
Like it was like pieces of it. It was like messed up and barrels blown out and all that other shit.
Yeah. So like that's the only one that I could maybe see someone arguing is also a weapon of hope. But Lumina is a very different scenario. Lumina is we took the original Thorn. So
we took Rose. I don't know that we cleansed Thorn.
Yes, we did.
We actually cleansed Thorn. Okay.
Yeah, so I'll back up a little bit, and we go over this in our Renegade series. But essentially what happened, all of the thorns that people have, those are just replicas of the original. The original Thorn is gifted to us from Shin Malfur. We take it and then we start essentially reversing the process of its corruption until we turn it back into Rose, which was its original form. And then we further like pump Rose full of light instead of dark, which eventually turns it into Lumina.
Holy shit. Like I remember bits and pieces of the quest. Like I remember where like you shoot the little void crystals back on Mars, and that was part of it. You shot them with Rose, and then like that. Yeah, I remember parts of it, but I didn't remember that. I didn't realize it was. I completely forgot that we took the original Thorn, because I do remember like all the thorns that everyone has. Like those are literally copies. They're like, I don't want to say dumbed down, but they are dumbed down versions of the original. Like they won't kill people. They'll do some damage, but they won't kill. They won't final death people.
Yeah. Yeah, so the original Thorn is gone. It was turned into Lumina. And as far as I'm aware, that is the only if the qualification for Weapon of Hope is like blessed by the Traveler's Light or something, then I could see Hawkmoon and Lumina qualifying.
Chosen, maybe.
Maybe, though it doesn't really have a connection outside of just the name.
Right.
And I guess maybe the exotic effect, you could say it charges up with light, but not quite the same. Uh, if the
So I guess that
qualification is,
process would be the qualification, right?
well, if the qualification is like it needs to be a weapon of sorrow that is uncorrupted into a light form, or it needs to be a weapon that's powered up or transform from the light,
Yeah.
then I don't think anything other than Lumina qualifies right now.
So then it would have to, like, if we were to get a new weapon of hope in final shape, it would have to be connected to one of those things. Which to me, the one thing that would be connected to would be Osteostriga, and we'd essentially but like we crafted that, so like we'd like
Right.
recrafted into remembering that it's good. You know what I mean? Like
Maybe, yeah.
find a point in time in its life that it was a good thing, and then pump it full of light, and we'd have what would be the opposite of Osteostriga?
I couldn't tell you.
Stostio Agra? I don't know. I'm pulling at strings now.
It's not Pig Latin.
It's not. It's not. It's I know. Like Lumina isn't like Thorn in Pig Latin. I get it. Yeah, no, I'm following.
Yeah, I mean I guess the only weapons we have available to us to like transform in that way, if that is the process, would be I think Osteo's probably, because we crafted it, probably not a high chance. Uh Maybe something with Touch of Malice, or maybe
Either
something
Touch
with
of Malice or
Necrochasm.
Necro. I could see that.
Yeah.
Now I do have to laugh though, because we do have weapons now that have the perk heal clip on them, and you can shoot your
True.
buddies and heal them. So I guess would a weapon of light now just be like a perk now, or are these like perks of light or perks of hope? I guess.
Well, say it's not that you shoot them with heal clip, it's that the act of reloading does a little healing burst to you and the people around you.
Gotcha. For some reason, I remember it like somebody like full auto like an Uriel's gift, just like just unloading and
Not
like
quite.
You're healed. I heal you with bullets. The way I did. Oh god, Sadia in the Corrupted. I healed her with bullets. I uncorrupted her with bullets.
Yeah, not quite. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Like, it comes down to like how much can you read into specific perks as like having narrative relevance, you know?
Yeah.
Because they got to keep making more perks. They got to keep making more fun things to put on guns, and
got to get that.
Those aren't
stick, right?
always gonna necessarily line up with like narrative stuff.
Sure.
So, yeah, I guess to go back to the original question, do I think we're gonna get more weapons of hope in the final shape?
I
would really love to see more, and I think nowhere makes more sense for them to pop up than inside the Traveler. But
something's in there's got to hope for something, right?
Right. Hope for the future.
Oh, you little shit. I see what you did there.
All of that being said, though, there isn't any. They haven't laid any like little breadcrumbs to point us in the direction of something coming. But we'll see. I hope so.
Maybe we'll get a glaive of hope.
Hey,
wouldn't that be something?
I mean, sure. I don't use glaives much, so I don't have any real room to stand on there. Alrighty, so our next shout out and final one for this episode came to us from an email. They say they did not explicitly give us permission to say the name, so we'll just remain anonymous. You know who you are. But they said, first off, I want to thank you for staying positive. A lot of Destiny lore podcasts have been super negative for the last 3 seasons, but you two always stay positive, give an upbeat and exciting episode every time. So thank you. But after listening to you do this episode and forgetting that it says something of 9 forces or entities, got me thinking that I bet the 9 trapped the Traveler during the collapse because they wanted to use it to try and exist in the material plane. I got too excited listening to you at work and haven't finished the episode yet. Thank you for the theory craft. Thank you. The theory craft helps keep me excited about Destiny 2. Well, first off, thank you.
Positivity, man. Like
Yeah.
that's if everyone in the world could just be 5% more positive towards everything around them.
Yeah.
Like Myth and I have run into this a lot. I swear, as soon as we start playing, it sounds like all they want to do is bitch about it. And it's like, dude, we've been in here 5 goddamn seconds. Everyone just cheer the fuck up. Like, we haven't even killed one goddamn enemy. Like, chill out. So yeah, I like positivity.
Absolutely. It's very easy to fall into that like negative spiral.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, negativity just feeds on more
It does.
negativity. And it's one of those things that like, are things perfect with the game? No, they're not. There things that would be nice to see changed or fixed? Sure. But that doesn't mean that we need to harp on them. Everyone knows they're there and they, have their own feelings about it. But regardless of what's going on mechanically or what's going on, outside of the universe of the game, at the end of the day, it's still something that's near and dear to all of our hearts. Otherwise, we wouldn't care to look up content about it.
Destiny wouldn't have been around for 10 years if it didn't.
Right. Exactly. So like, hey, if we all care about this and we all, have that shared interest, maybe at least someone out there, and we're taking on that role here, can, be shine a light on some happier things that are going
Absolutely. This little light of mine,
on.
I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, that's a double meaning, isn't it?
Yeah.
The little light. Ah, ha ha.
Yeah.
I did a thing and I didn't even realize I did a thing.
Absolutely. But regarding your question about the forces keeping the traveler there,
Dude, what if that was the 9?
it's definitely possible.
Like, what if they were the ones that were just like, we're gonna kind of influence this because we don't know what type of influence the 9 has.
Right, we don't know exactly what all they can do.
We don't even really know what they like. The only thing we know that they want is they want to be corporeal.
Right, they
That's
they
the
don't
only
want to
thing that
be
we.
tied to the planets anymore.
Yeah, they don't want to be in that dark matter space, the negative space that doesn't exist but exists. Like they tried to become corporeal at one point in time with that. That is a fucked up lore reading, by the way. We covered that in the
Yes.
9. It is just whatever amalgamate like whatever came out of that gate. Fuck that. Nope. So yeah, like we know they want to be real. They want to exist of their own accord. They want to be themselves essentially without like what Myth was saying being tied to the planets. Um but outside of that, like we don't really know what they want. Like we don't know
Yeah, I
what
mean,
drives them. We don't know what their abilities are. We don't know what their powers are. Like other
yeah,
than
they
influencing
don't
gates into
really,
making shit. Bull. Bull.
yeah.
Bull.
They don't really have a way to communicate. Like they may not experience the like how to they're such higher beings, it's hard to equate to their like thinking process
Yeah.
to something that we could understand.
Yeah.
Uh but yeah, so
Like do they have needs? Do they have wants?
right.
Do they have? I
Like
mean, the only want that we know of is that they want to be corporeal, and that's it. Like, but like, what are their desires? What are their wishes? What are they like?
and
Do
maybe
they eat
they don't
grapes? Do they like shoes? Like, I don't fucking know, man.
I'm gonna guess we could probably like with a reasonable amount of accuracy have the say that they've probably literally never thought about the last two things there. It just has
You don't
not
think
crossed
Pluto
their
was just
mind.
sitting out there like, man, if only I'd had a grape, I wouldn't have let the solar system go to shit. Those
Yeah,
little
I know.
fuckers wouldn't even let me be a real planet. This is bullshit.
No, but to point out specifically the entry that this person is talking about was from our reading of the book Constellations, specifically the entry Severing, where it's talking presumably from the traveler's point of view, uh, and it is feeling the like the witness closing in on the Sol system prior to the first collapse. And the line says, "You want to run, but you are pulled in all directions by opposite and equal forces that hold you perfectly still." Now, we had equated that originally to the pyramid ships being the devices that the witness had created to stop the traveler from running. Um, which I'm still personally is where I'm going with it. Because the rest of the lore card is like, I am the speaker that witnessed the end of the world. So presumably this is all happening like kind of as the collapse is happening.
Right.
But this person, and very viably, is saying, what if that wasn't anything the witness did? What if that was the nine making it so that the traveler could not leave
Sure.
because of whatever, their reasons were thinking it should stay.
Like the traveler
Um,
wanted to leave. Like we've seen the traveler want to leave systems
right.
before, and presumably this is the first system that a non-corporeal form has been able to like interact with it in any way. And so, I mean, maybe.
Yeah. So, personally, my personal theory at the moment is that that was the pyramid ships surrounding it in like that sunflower pattern, like we saw at Lightfall. But 110% could have been the nine. Absolutely.
We
Uh,
won't know until we get in there.
and even then, we may not know for
Yeah,
sure. But I like bouncing theory crafting off people and getting different ideas. So thank you for submitting that, and glad that we can keep you excited about the game. So,
absolutely.
but I say that is it for shout outs for this episode. If you liked what you heard tonight and you want to support us in some way, biggest thing you can do is leave a review for us on whatever platform you listen on. If you feel strongly enough and you can, leave a text review. We love reading those. If not, you can reach out at Myths and Stories on Twitter, or mythsandstories@gmail.com for email. We are also on YouTube now. We have almost, I think, like 2/3 of our big like series of episodes are all out on YouTube now. I believe as of the time of this recording, the Elixni series is just finishing up, with the Black Armory series starting soon after. And then I'm trying to remember, I think Aldrin is next. So Aldrin or Crow is next. So keep an eye out there. And we like seeing comments and stuff there too. We try and respond as best we can. But yeah.
All right. Well, I guess I gotta thank you. You know what? We, I was told, a little birdie told me that I hadn't created a character in several episodes, so I created several in this one. So thank you, all my little baby dragon eggs, all my little Ahamkara eggs, Billy, Joe Bob, Jolien, Jilly, Frank. We're not forgetting you, Frank. You evil little shit. Don't put arsenic in the food. Who else? Elementary school. Dave. Was that Dave that was elementary school? I don't remember. One of your Dave who could only hear half of what everyone said. Can't forget you. Love you, buddy. Make sure you grow that second ear before high school, or it's just maybe grow both your eyes. Like high school's gonna suck if you have one ear and no nose or something. Like I don't know. Maybe no nose is good when you're in the locker room, but like definitely grow two eyes for the locker room and two ears, please. It's not a good place there.
I also have to point out how your version of evil little shit equals deadly poison. Like I feel like there were a couple steps that were missed.
There's like hiding your sister's earbud, like stealing one of the buds and then like letting her think it's lost, and she's like, "Where the fuck is this thing?" Like that's evil little shit. This is definitely like maybe you should go to prison. Like maybe don't kill people.
I don't think
type
there's
thing.
any maybe about it. Like that is psychopathic mass murder.
Frank, I mean, he's corrupted. I don't know.
I mean, sure,
maybe he's beyond evil.
Is. You never know. Like,
How evil was Oryx? Is light good? Is dark evil? I don't fucking know. They're just forces, remember, Myth?
Yeah, which means they're inherently neither good nor evil.
Ha ha! So it's all from a certain point of view. So from from Frank's point of view, I've already forgotten my own fucking corrupted egg. God damn it! From Frank's point of view, he's doing the world good. Maybe he's helping the Great Hunt. Maybe he knows Ahamkara don't do good things and need to be eradicated. I don't know. I'm not Frank. Or Dave. Or Billy. Or Jolien. Almost forgot Jolien. Jolien the little dragon. Fuck, I could have done Puff, Myth. Damn it.
Coulda. But
I'm now forever barred. None of the new eggs can be called Puff, the magic Ahamkara dragon. Damn it. I'm mad at myself now. Well, thank you for that one, Myth.
You're welcome.
Alrighty. Anything else?
That's it.
No, it's sad, Zor. It's sad. No, from all of us, Lore Daddies, to all of you Guardians out there, we'll see you next time.
You found your people. Guardians do love their myths and stories.